Betty Buckley is best known as one of the top musical theater leading ladies of the past 40 years, having won a Tony Award for playing Grisabella in Cats and turning in unforgettable performances in musicals like The Mystery of Edwin Drood and Sunset Boulevard. But beyond the lights of Broadway, Buckley has a fruitful career in TV and film, as a teacher, and performing concerts all around the country, two of which are preserved on her brand new album, Story Songs. Find out about her recent Hollywood smash, Split, how she feels about her fellow Broadway divas, and so much more on this week's Show People. Betty Lynn Buckley,
Paul,
I'm so happy to see you.
Great to see you.
It always feels like a reunion whenever I see you.
Because of our day in Central Park.
We always talk about it, back in Central Park. Yes, we have memories, and I adore you. And how are you? You look fabulous.
Oh, we're so nice.
And I love it when you're in New York.
Well, look at your beautiful new digs.
Welcome.
Thank
Every time
you.
you come, we'll spruce it up differently for you.
It's very nice. And I follow you on Instagram, of course.
And I follow you on Instagram, of course.
Know about all your beautiful home in the country and your dogs.
This is not about me, Betty.
And your bow. It's like so good.
Betty Lynn Buckley, let's get this on topic.
Okay.
I'm always thrilled when you're in New York.
Thank
I feel
you.
like the air lightens a little bit. We know Betty's in town.
Oh, you're such a charmer.
And so let's talk about this. So this is what this is what you're in New York talking about right now.
Yes.
This is Story Songs. This is your fantastic new double CD, although
Live
CDs. So
this is my 17th recording.
This is number 17.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
It's like a testimony to how long I've been on the planet.
And they're all so different.
Thank you.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, you've done such a cool variety of recordings. And
I'm glad you think so.
this is actually a live recording. There are two different concerts captured here.
Yes.
Right? One was in Costa Mesa.
Yeah, at the Segerstrom Center in the Samueli Theater.
Right.
With this amazing band. Christian Jacob, of course, is my arranger, pianist, long time now, 8 years, and then his other bandmates from the fabulous Tierney Sutton Band, and which is how I found Christian. I was a huge fan of Tierney's and her band, and I heard this amazing piano player, and I found him through the LA Musicians Union. I called him one day. I said, "Do you ever work with other girl singers?" And he said, "Yeah." So this is our second CD together. The other one was Amen, the Boys of Broadway, where I did all the men's songs.
Of course.
So we were in near LA, so we asked Ray Brinker, the drummer for Tierney Sutton Band, and Trey Henry, the wonderful bass player, to play with us. And then Oz Noy, who's my fabulous guitar player who plays with me here in New York at Joe's Pub, and we've worked together now for I think 3 years. And he's the king of rock and roll. So and beautiful acoustic guitars that are very spacey and beautiful, which I truly love. So it's an honor to get to work with him. He's a genius guitarist.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did in Costa Mesa. And then the second CD is we call the bonus tracks.
Right.
Was recorded at Joe's Pub in 2015. And it's 5 of my favorite songs with 3 stories about 3 of my favorite people.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love hearing those
you.
stories. Well, you're so fantastic in concert. I mean, a Betty Buckley concert is like an experience.
Thank you.
I feel like you always you do such a great job of creating like an atmosphere. And
Thank you.
And you feel like you're sort of like, yeah, it's a happening.
Oh, thank you.
It's a happening.
Paul.
That's what that can be
you.
your next album title, maybe.
The Happening.
I'm just throwing that.
Well, I was in that Shyamalan movie,
I know.
The Happening.
Actually, that might confuse people.
That might really make people think something terrible is going to happen.
We're going to get to him because there's a lot to talk about him. But let's talk about some of these songs because it seems like you reached out to people like Jason Robert Brown and Joe Iconis. And, and sort of, from what I heard, it sounds like you were like, got any songs? Is that what you do? Well, I mean, if I were a songwriter and Betty Buckley suddenly emailed me and said, "Hey, got any songs?" I'd be like, I'll write one right now. Oh my God. So were they open with sending you things? And
yeah, well, Joe Iconis, I've been his fan since I heard his music in Smash, the TV show.
Yeah, right.
And a couple of my really close friends were followers of his. And they were like, "Have you heard this guy? He's fantastic. He's so weird and he's so funny." And so then I became a follower. And so one day I was looking for new material. So I wrote him a fan letter on Facebook, private message. And I said, if you're doing a project, if you think of me, because I think you're so funny, you're so witty, and I would love to work with you. And he kindly wrote me back, and he said yes, and he wanted me to be a part of his evening at Feinstein's at 54 Below.
Right, yeah.
He does these repeated concerts of the Joe Iconis family.
Yes.
And he said he'd like
Right.
for me to be a part of that. And so I said, great. So he sent me several songs, and none of them were quite right. And I was really embarrassed because I'd reached out to him, and of course he generously sent me like 4 or 5 things. So I was like, I wrote him back, and I said, God, I'm really sorry, but I don't think any of these really fit me. He goes, don't worry, I'll write you something. So weeks go by, and I don't hear anything, so I'm writing him, and like, did you figure out that song yet? Do you need any ideas and something? No, I'm on it. 3 days before the event, which was kind of panicky, you know, he sent me Old Flame, which was like so funny, and he sings it way better than I do. It's like just so genius, and I mean all the subtlety and the interpretation. So I, got on it really fast, and then I flew to New York the day before the event and had a rehearsal with him. Okay. And then the next day we had a sound check rehearsal with his band. So I performed it that night, literally reading it off the music. And it's such powerful, strong material. The audience went nuts. They were just laughing up a storm. And at the first joke, they're just like, screaming. And I was like, okay, I don't even have to do anything but read this because it's just so funny.
And that's what I love about story songs in general. I love, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the first sort of like story songs that you remember learning, like when you were first up and coming, and maybe that, you know what I mean? Because there's such a cool genre.
Well, the best songs in theater are perfect story songs.
Yeah.
And I teach. In fact, I'm in town teaching this week. And I talk to my students about, looking for really strong material where there's a very vivid story. And I look for really clear and vivid and beautiful words, lyrics that really describe the situation, whether it's character or story songs. And so the best ones, and Sondheim, of course, is a great master of that, and Stephen Schwartz is a great master of that, and Joe Iconis, is that the character's in a situation where they're contemplating something, and they have a visceral experience and a new piece of insight about this thing that's troubling them or whatever they're going through. And then they have a new perspective, and they arrive at a different place by the end. Like Meadowlark is a perfect story song. That was one of the first great story songs that I loved to sing. And Mary Chapin Carpenter writes beautiful poetry songs too. Sarah Bareilles, contemporary, she writes some really beautiful situation, character. Yeah. They're very clear in terms of the character's emotional condition. Right. I love them. I collect them. I look for great stories, and that's what I'm here to do.
Because you're a brilliant actress, you're able to get up there and really like chew into them, right? I
mean, be the person,
it's not just a concert of you singing songs. You're telling all sorts of, it's like,
20
musicals.
Live your way through the experience.
Yeah,
I love it. It's like, a musical to me is like a little novella. It's like one big story presented with, kind of this whole panorama, if you will, whole tapestry of a story. And a concert I think of as these little short stories, like an evening of little vignettes and little different people. I really want Joe Iconis to do an evening with me where we really address so many of our characters in the world today that we're troubled by and don't really have insights into. I'd like to do an evening because I think this character in Old Flame is one of those. And so I've been prickling him to say, to steal a word that he uses. I'm feeling prickly. I think that's just a great word. I'm feeling prickly. To do an evening of those characters, back to back. But he's so busy. He's like doing like about 3 projects. And I was like, what would it take to get you to sit down and write this? And Michael Wilson, my dear friend and the director that I worked with in Grey Gardens, we're trying to put together a couple of projects, but that's one I would really like to do.
Joe, get on it. if that helps, if I can help at all by telling him, Joe, get on it. We know
he's
you're busy,
so great. Yeah, he's so and he's an adorable guy. Yeah. Really, really cute.
We have to take a quick break.
Okay.
We're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about your recent Hollywood triumph. We'll be right back with Betty Buckley. And we're back with Betty Buckley. Betty, let's talk about Karen Fletcher, shall we?
Oh, Dr. Fletcher.
Yeah, Dr. Fletcher.
It's amazing. Knight keeps texting me, we're at 250 million. And I'm like, congratulations.
Knight is M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
And you previously were in his movie The Happening.
Yes.
I remember you were just very odd and like you were like a scary woman.
I was the really crazy lady in the last third of the movie.
Yeah. I remember you. You were the crazy lady.
Mark Wahlberg and put my head through a window.
Yeah, I was terrified of you. And then, so Split was #1 movie in America for multiple weeks. What's it like to be in the #1 movie in America?
It was really exciting. I saw the movie the first time at the AFI Film Festival in LA.
Okay.
It was beautiful. The movie is so, he's such a great storyteller.
Yes.
And the subject matter, split personalities, James McAvoy is spectacular.
And you're his therapist.
Yeah, but he gives one of the greatest film performances I've ever seen. And one of the greatest performances by any actor I've ever seen anywhere. And he's the nicest guy, and it was a real honor to get to work with him. So yes, I play his psychologist, and so I'm watching, in a really nervous state, hoping.
Are you nervous to watch yourself on screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's painful. And especially because the photographer, Knight makes these thrillers, but the camera, they're shooting me in a wide angle lens the whole time, and it's not, it's like one has to get over oneself anyway.
Well, yeah, you're doing a psychological thriller. It's not like a beautiful period piece with like gorgeous lighting.
There's no beauty lighting at all.
It's gritty.
So, but I don't know if you can get past that and go ahead and go on with your life. You're doing good. So I'm kind of, watching like that, but I'm also really concerned for Knight that the audience is getting the story and that, but I'm also enthralled at the modernity of the movie from the opening credits on and the economy with which he tells the story. It's just fantastic. He says so much with just like a flashback or little scene. And you're like, it's really, really good. And so I was kind of knocked out by it the first time. The second time I saw it was at the New York big screening here.
Okay. Yeah.
And I felt it was a little easier, I sat back and I just really appreciated the movie, and I saw more details that I'd missed the first time and thought, was again just so in awe of M. Night Shyamalan and his spectacular gifts as a filmmaker, his incredible expertise, McAvoy's amazing performance, and the incredible storytelling. So I really enjoyed that second screening a lot. I was far less nervous and self-conscious because I could see my work as the character as opposed to it being me. So that was better. The third time I saw it was in Fort Worth, Texas at the Rave Cinema where I took my family.
Is that your local movie theater?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it was my mother, my godmother, one of my brothers, his wife, my assistant Kathy, who's been my friend for 16 years, and me, and so we were sitting there watching the movie, and I'm like leaning back, trying to perceive their response, and they're all kind of back in their seats.
And it twists. The movie has twists and turns.
And they don't know what's going to happen. Told them what's going to happen, right? So at the end, I'm like expecting them. This is like a lesson of never have expectations ever. Just like, and I've studied spiritual philosophy forever and meditation. You think I'd know better, but I expected, nonetheless, that my family and friends would be really excited about the movie. So the credits roll and we're done, and I'm like, ready, and they're all like, and I'm like, well, and they're like, just. Good job, Betty Lynn. And I was like, what? And it's like,
you got nothing?
Didn't you? It was a great movie, didn't you? And so they're kind of literally walking like zombies out of the theater. And I'm like trying to think, what's going on,
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you did a good job. Thanks. And they kind of drifted off into the night. And I just turned to Kathy. I was like, what was that? So at 3 a.m, because I'm like really at home, I'm like, I can't believe that was my mother. That was my godmother.
Right.
They're supposed to be
my people.
My team.
Right.
Well, at 3 a.m, both of them, my mother and my godmother, Bobby Wygant, who's this fabulous Emmy Award-winning television journalist in Texas, who's followed my whole career, has interviewed me at every point in my life that I've done anything of significance. They both write me these beautiful emails as they're kind of coalescing their experience of the movie.
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah, but I guess I just didn't realize the movie has tremendous impact on people's subconscious experience of what, the human mind is capable of. And and it's also really, resonant and timely in the world today with all that we're going through.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, after I saw it the first time, I wrote and I said, you know, this is, I think, going to be really huge for you because there's like this subliminal resonance to this thing that's telling people we're capable of so much more. Like, in fact, after one of the screenings, that same screening, I talked to a couple of teenage boys in the hall. I was like, well, what did you guys think? You know, and they're like, wow, I really like the thing about what people are capable of, you know? And I was just like, yeah, it's a great movie.
I can see why your mom might not want to watch you go through all that. I mean, it's a lot of drama. What is it like filming those scenes with James McAvoy? You had a lot of one-on-one scenes with him, really intense scenes. Was it cool to watch his process?
Yeah, we got to work together for about a week and a half in rehearsal before we started shooting, and we work very similarly because we both come from the theater, and it's all about spontaneous give and take reality and using the other actor and whatever they give you, give back, you know. And so that was divine. Besides the fact that he's the nicest guy in the world, he's very humble, very down to earth. He's not, you know, even though he's a movie star, he doesn't act like a movie star. Right.
And you got a Saturn Award nomination for Split, which is like a sci-fi fantasy award, right?
Yeah, it's for
cool.
thrillers, and Split was nominated for Best Thriller, which is really cool, and that's June 28th. You know, like Spielberg's won those awards and George Lucas and stuff.
I just love the range of what Betty Buckley is now. You know what I mean? It's so cool. You're not just a Broadway diva. There's all these things.
Oh, I'm a working girl. I have to make a living.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I love it.
That. And if you think about, you know, like I said earlier, the actual quantity of people who saw that performance, you know what I mean? You could never top that on a stage, or, you know, it's just such a huge thing to be in a Hollywood blockbuster, an international blockbuster.
Well, it's really great, but it's really great to work with someone that you admire as much as I admire Knight. Yeah. You know, I like to call him.
And to be proud of what you did.
Yeah, I love the guy. He's, you know, he works only in Philadelphia. He has like a family of people that he's worked with his entire career. The majority of them that on his crew have done the majority of his movies. So there's a real familial feeling on the set. They're all very, very good at what they do. He's very joyous, and he's such a passionate man. You know, he has this beautiful family who comes to visit the set, his wife and his 3 beautiful daughters, and he's very kind, and he's also very mischievous. And I don't know if you've realized about me after all these years that I'm very mischievous, and like you. And so it's fun, you know, because we tease each other a lot. And McAvoy also was full of mischief, so we were constantly teasing each other and teasing him. And so I don't know, I'm just really grateful for his friendship. And he told me the fall before we started shooting, he called me, and you know, after they sent me the script, and he said, and his brilliant casting guy, Doug Abel, called me and said, Knight's got this new movie, and I think it's looking good for you, and, you know, just hang in there. And so then they finally sent me the script, and Knight called me and said, you know, I wrote this for you. And I was like,
wow.
Whoa, what? You know.
Has Knight ever seen you in a Broadway musical?
Yes. His wife told me that they saw me in Sunset Boulevard.
Okay. So there's a little bit of Broadway there. Yeah. Okay, cool. Sunset Boulevard, that was pretty epic.
That was pretty great.
We're going to take a quick break, but let's talk about Sunset Boulevard. We'll be right back with Betty Buckley. And we're back with Betty Buckley, Hollywood star Betty Buckley, Hollywood and Broadway star. Speaking of Hollywood stars, Norma Desmond is back, and Cats is back. It's crazy. What is Angela Dorber doing? Recreating your resume for, I mean, it's like all your shows. What's it like to go see these shows?
It's poignant. You know, I went to see Glenn in Sunset with my friend Michael Wilson, and she was absolutely wonderful. I was so moved by her. Yeah. And you know, when I first did the show, I took over in London after Patty's contract was over, and then I came to New York after.
You got an Olivier nomination, yes.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then you came in when Glenn left.
Yes, and but you know, it was not the most comfortable thing because everybody pitted us all against one another, like as the dueling divas of, you know, as though we were like that. And of course we're not. You know, like I saw Patty do it, and I thought she was great. I'm like a huge Patty fan. And
Lapone, by the way, it's just Patty.
I wrote her a fan letter for her work on Penny Dreadful.
Oh yeah.
You know, where she played the witch and the psychologist. She was great in that, and so I recently, you know, written her this past year about how much I loved her work, and you know. But anyway, I've always admired her, and I've always gone backstage to see her and stuff. And she, you know, I don't know her that well, but we share a voice teacher, and you were acquaintances, and I took over for Glenn, and there's just so much pressure about well, Glenn and Patty and Betty and Elaine Page, and it's like that's such crazy stuff that people, we're not competitive athletes,
right?
We're all individuals, and the performing arts is not really, it's not like comparing quarterbacks on a football team, It's like there are no such thing as the accumulative statistics whereby they can evaluate. Every career path is completely individual, and every single lady of my colleagues are so unique unto themselves, and there is no way of doing Sunset Boulevard or Cats or playing Grisabella or any other role that's the definitive version, because the truth is I really admire these women, and I know there's like this camaraderie and among colleagues and so I'm really happy for Patty and Christine Ebersol's success recently, in War Paint. But anyway, it was tough in that time period. And I fortunately had this wonderful trainer who kept saying in London, you're here to work. You're not about this circus. You're here to work. You're here to do what you do. And fortunately, Trevor Nunn was so gracious and generous with me and allowed me my own interpretation, even though there was all this pressure coming into New York. So it was kind of this wonderful relief to sit in the palace and enjoy Glenn's brave and incredibly different, truthful and vulnerable interpretation of Sunset at this point in her life. Because quite frankly, the mere idea of taking that on for myself in any way at this point was like, are you kidding me? The stairs alone. I was just like, because those stairs in Sunset at those 2 years of 8 shows a week killed my knees, and I have a lasting legacy of knee problems that happened in that time period and have been under the care of orthopedic doctors ever since, But she was really wonderful. And so I had sent her a gift, and I went backstage and told her how wonderful it was. And it was a really beautiful afternoon. Whoopi Goldberg was there too. And we just had a really, and Michael, my friend Wilson, and it was just a lovely, lovely afternoon. And I was so grateful that I went to see it.
I think it's really important what you just said, because I think we live in a culture where, I mean, look, one of the most exciting TV shows right now is Feud, Betty and Joan, right? And everyone got into that, and people love to sort of imagine or like, who's the best Norma Desmond? Who's your favorite? It's all this, but you're all just sort of in the same boat. Like you're all actresses doing your
fundamental truth is that human beings do not compare. And yet we live in a culture that is asking us to constantly compare ourselves at every level to a standard that is completely false. Like, you will be successful, bigger, better, best. You have to collect all these toys before you die, and whoever collects the most toys wins, which is completely insane. And this standard of beauty and the standard of young versus old, thin versus fat, it's just like, it's insane, comparing. I don't know. It's tough. And that's one of the reasons I teach, is because my great teachers have taught me a perspective to help me, find my way, my path through the maze of crazy stuff. And so I teach to assist people who are younger than I am, and who aspiring and have dreams of being creative artists, and how to focus so that they can maintain their own self-acceptance and integrity through what is really a difficult path. And at that fundamental level, we all deserve to be here. We're here. We deserve to be here, and we deserve to live the life we're called to live as fully and as creatively and as lovingly as possible. And all this other stuff is about the world of opinion and the way things are, and it's just insane. And if we could just take a second and breathe and remember that essence, it'd be a little easier, I think.
You got to figure it out. You're making me feel better about the world. I mean, I think that living down in Texas with your horses, and I don't know, I think it's good for you.
Yeah, it's good for me, because they bring me back to all the, we have a lot of rescue animals too, and they just bring me back to the essence of what's important, I feel really blessed about that.
So how is Wild Man Bill?
He's good. Thank you.
One of your horses, right? How many animals do you have?
I have a donkey named Rosie O'Donkey. I have 2 horses. I have 2 Shih Tzus. I'm about to get a new German Shepherd dog. Yeah. So, and then we have a barn cat named Tessa.
I love it.
Who was attacked by some raccoon recently and has just gotten over her
there's always
her raccoon infection.
There's always a drama, right?
I know.
There's always an animal
the
drama.
The vet bills are big.
I also want people to know, so you're being honored with the Julie Harris Award.
Yeah, for the Actors
Fund in LA, right?
Yeah, they have a big Tony viewing party. It's like a gala, red carpet gala and stuff, and decided to honor me with the Julie Harris Award this year, which is really sweet, really nice.
So you're going to actually it's on Tony night. And you'll be watching the Tonys with people?
Yeah, I
and
get
what do you
my
do?
award,
Do you say,
and then
well,
we just
when I won my Tony, this is what I said?
I don't know. I'm going to ask him what I'm supposed to say. I think I'll say thank you.
We're out of time. I could talk to you forever, but next time you'll be back. I know you will.
I hope so.
And we'll talk about Central Park, as we always do.
Oh, you've got to come to I'll be doing a new show at Joe's Pub.
Are you?
In mid-October.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, you heard it here first. I didn't know that. So Betty Buckley, Story Songs. This is a great double album. Check it out. It's available in this beautiful package or digital. And Split. You can rent Split. You can buy Split. You can watch Split. So thrilled for you. So exciting to see you have that nice moment. It's nice. It's nice. I like Betty Buckley being in the #1 movie. That's a good feeling.
It's really nice.
And if you're in LA, you can watch the Tonys with her. Thank you so much for being here,
Thanks,
Betty.
Paul. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.